Now we're going to pop some of these boils. And this is a minor thing, but it's a lot of fun, and I'm just happy to show it to you. So when I pop these things, I don't want to pop in a too linear of a way. That's always part of our mission, is to not do something that looks too organized. Now we have our largest boil here, which I do love. I believe this is about the second largest. We're going to imagine that this one is going to pop. I'm going to move to our wonderful tool here, the one that I usually call the Rick Baker tool, your Kemper tool, which is the W21. Awesome, gotta have it, you gotta have it. And I'm going to put the tool parallel to the surface of the board. Real simple. Then I'm going to put it parallel here to the boil. And I'm going to go ahead, turn it just so you can see it. So now I'm going to lay that to the boil, and I'm going to go ahead and pop it. I'm giving myself a little earthquake in my hand so that it fired in an organic way. On these guys, I always like to leave my center in. You'll notice I left a big piece of real estate right in there. I can maybe go in and play with it a little bit, but I'm just going to let that sit. So I know that I value that. No, I'm going to take out a little bit just to get a preview. You'll notice I left a little debris on the inside. I created an area of depth by just pulling in some shadow. I didn't like that too much. I'm going to restate that. Very good. So I have a little bit of an interior form. This would be certainly inside the body. Whenever you're working on wounds, contusions of any kind, you want to be able to sell the idea of being of depth. And so I just play with that a little bit. That seems great. I'm gonna pop that one next to it using the same technique. I put the tool parallel. Boy, that gave me a great feeling. I'm having an idea to come out and allow the epidermis to be harmed. Now, I didn't intend to show you that, but I've used it before. I'm going to go into where this boil has popped. I'm going to go down to the lake bed, if you will, down to the basic epidermis surrounding. I'm going to use the same technique, the same holding of the tool, and I'm going to allow my tool to pitch and weave, keep it organic. I'm going to cycle it back on itself, and I've allowed the skin to be perverted. Once again, by the same thing, by the burn. Boy, that gave me a great feeling. So not only did that one pop, not only is there depth around the side walls of the pop, but the skin itself was burned open mercilessly by whatever had done it. So now this is just open. Cool. I can then come back around using the other end of my tool, and I can cause a little bit of wound ballet. Try not to do too much of that. The skin usually wants to start healing, as we've talked about in the past. So you're not going to get a ballet of skin, necessarily speaking, but you can come in if it's not pleasing you, if the depth of the burn is not pleasing you, you can come in and augment and push. And of course, down in there, I'd like to show, let's say, a muscle. So I'm going to put little striations of a muscle moving against the outside grain, because that's a topical surface grain. And so I'm going to imply that this is muscle by having a grain down in there, and then I can come in with my old trusty W2 and take some of the burnishing quality there, step on some of those striations and give them a little bit of a burnish so that we can read them. Nice, I love it. Okay, just like the little satellite pieces work on the outer perimeter, I think that breaking this wound that we just brought on kind of in an unexpected way, but it's in keeping with the burn, we're going to give it a satellite. That didn't satisfy me. I'm going to come in and bite, and that gives us a little a little connective. Nice, nice. Well, that's pretty much it. I've shown you some ballet here on the edge of the wounds. What you're more likely to do is you're more likely to come in and use your burnishing finger to smash. You'll notice as that rolls over, that looks a bit more realistic. I'm going to use the same technique there, and I'm going to let that really fall down into the wound. And of course, in this burn, that's going to look more like natural healing. Flayed up pieces, that's fine. If you're doing a makeup or a character that has just experienced the wound, literally, but if the wound has been in existence for any time, I'm going to come in here and wiggle. You want to calm it down so that it can be horrible, it can be vicious, it can be dramatic, but it's not going to be flipping and doing a skin ballet. You're going to adhere more to what may be a little bit more traditional, and that means medical books, what have you, is also a great resource. Boom, smash it. You'll notice, boom, when it's smashed, it seems to read better. I'm going to allow that. See, now there's a piece. I'm going to let that hang. See how that naturally hung over like a drape, kind of falling on the windowsill? I love it. Perfect. And I'm going to break one more. I'm going to do it in close proximity. I think we're going to break that one. And this one we're just going to do an uneven. Boom. And you'll see how nice I just handled that. Just by pushing with the fat pad of the finger, I was able to soften that down. And so it's popped, but it's also collapsed on itself. The fluid's out. And that puts us into, once again, if the client was coming, oh my goodness, the client's 5 minutes from being here, then I jump back to my ball stylus. I can also use a little bit of castor oil for this purpose, but I'm just going to feed some actual water in here. I think oil works better, but I wanted to put a little water in there because I'm going to have a little bit of pus in the wound. Now, would I do that for a client coming to look at my sculpture? Of course I would. I'll do anything to bring healthy attention and a show and tell to my sculpture. I'm going to add just a little wetness in that one. Let's get a little pus. I'm going to let it fall out here. Just dress that right in. That's okay. This is, of course, something that the final makeup would experience. I don't know that we'd be experiencing it here in the sculpture, but in the context of a show and tell, absolutely. Of course. Anything to sell us on the idea. I'm going to actually put a little bit up under here since that seems to be lifting and give us a little bit of the ooh factor. Once again, I started with a little water here to get the pus to flow. That's fine, no problem. But I probably would switch back to oil, which is easy to reverse. Easy to reverse with alcohol before it goes to the mold shop. Yay! Well, there you go. Popping the boils. Fantastic. I want to leave you with this note too. One thing I would do also, if the client came in, saw this wetness, saw the structures, and felt that this was a viable thing and that we want to keep this, I would then go back in and I would hand tool all of the surrounding detail on the skin. I would keep this stuff soft, and in fact, I might come back with a little bit more oil and polish those domes, if you will, even a little bit more. Man, what fun. I love sculpting gory stuff. It's worn off as I've gotten a little older. I've gotten more into fantasy stuff, but sculpting the gore stuff is just terribly rewarding. Dick Smith used to talk about it a lot. The challenge of it is to make it look cool, and the physicality of it and the achievement of it to get it to function right is really a wonderful challenge. It may not be the most wonderful expression of character, but it certainly is something that's a must-have in your kit. I thank you for this time. This is Don Lanning, and I'll see you next month, folks. Everybody be well. My heart is with you. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.